Hello everyone, I'm Dante from Low Manor and welcome to another Lorewatch. Today, for the first time, we're looking at two characters together, the inseparable and chaotic duo that is Junkrat and Roadhog. The Australian Outback has always been an inhospitable place, and for that reason has long been sparsely populated. Even in the years prior to the Omnic Crisis, the huge expanse was inhabited only by solar farmers and isolationists. This made it the perfect location for Omnica to construct an Omnium, and as the promise of equality began to spread throughout the world, so too did the Omnics constructed within them. As with most other countries, Australia was left devastated by the Omnic Crisis. Many of the coastal cities were left in a state of near destruction, and the government had no appetite for any further problems as they focused on the task of rebuilding. In light of this, they made the decision to gift the Omnium and a large swathe of the land surrounding it to the defeated Omnics, a peace offering in an attempt to foster calm and togetherness in future relations. While this may have seemed like a generous act, it demonstrated complete ignorance of the natives that had made the Outback their home. This collection of farmers, survivalists and other misfits that had chosen to escape the more chaotic lives of the cities rallied together to form the Australian Liberation Front, a political movement with the sole purpose of protecting their way of life. One member of this group was a certain Mako Rutledge. Quite what he did or even what he looked like has been lost over the years, but the actions of the ALF would change his life forever. The Omnics, recovering from the war just as much as their human counterparts, took up the offer and began to populate the Omnium and the nearby lands. While their brethren in other parts of the world were allowed to flourish and come to terms with who and what they really were, these Australian Omnics were not afforded such a luxury. The ALF, feeling let down by their government and believing they had no alternative, turned to violence. They launched attacks on the Omnium and the newly settled population, each attack growing more aggressive than the last. All their resentment at their government, their loss and their still raw hatred of Omnics after the crisis fueled them. Events escalated until a small group pushed into the heart of the Omnium and sabotaged the nuclear core. The resulting explosion was colossal, destroying the Omnium and transforming a vast area of the Outback into an irradiated wasteland. What exactly happened to the Omnics is unclear, but in the ashes of the devastation, some of the humans, Mako among them, survived. Affected by the harsh radiation, they formed a lawless and chaotic society, and as they scavenged the ruins of the Omnium, a town of sorts began to form, Junkertown. The fallout from the explosion had left the ground for hundreds of miles around contaminated. Growing crops or keeping livestock was rendered impossible, and yet in these conditions the embittered survivors reclaimed their former home. Unable to go back to their old lives and forever changed by the radiation, they set about scavenging the ruins of the Omnium, adopting the name Junkers for themselves. While Mako survived physically, the impact of the explosion slowly killed off the man he had been. In order to cope with the toxicity of the land, he donned a mask that along with his physical changes he endured would come to define him. Of the man Mako had been, all that really remained were his anger and his strength, two key assets in Junkertown. Astride his seemingly derelict chopper bike, he became an enforcer, one of the most feared killers in an already ruthless society. The identity of Mako ebbed away, and in its place, Roadhog was born. Junkertown was not solely the province of the former ALF members, however. Some were forced to grow up there, soaking in both the radiation and the lawlessness from a young age. One such youth was Jameson Fawkes. Unlike Roadhog, Fawkes embraced the literal meaning of the Junker lifestyle, scavenging the husk of the ruined Omnium, reclaiming whatever items of value there were in order to survive. The lingering radiation around the wasteland changed everyone in different ways. In Fawkes, it brought out a deep-seated pyromania and obsession with explosives, a passion that lasts to this day, despite the deformities that he's inflicted on himself because of it. Fawkes, more commonly known as Junkrat, lived a relatively normal existence, or as normal an existence was possible for a pyromaniac in a place like Junkertown. This came to an abrupt end, however, when he ventured into a previously unexplored part deep in the heart of the Omnium ruins. There he discovered what has only been referred to as an extremely valuable secret, and given the mystery that still surrounds the reactivation of the Omniums prior to the crisis, speculation spread like wildfire. Only a handful of people to this day know exactly what he found, but in spite of this, Junkrat found himself hunted. Bounty hunters, criminal gangs and many of his fellow Junkers pursued him, eager to get their hands on the priceless secret of the Omnium. While his expertise with explosives gave him a certain level of protection, The constant pressure would eventually take its toll, and even Junkrat with his radiation-addled brain knew it. His best bet was to find a bodyguard. Someone with a big physical presence and a reputation for ruthlessness. This led him inevitably to the enforcers of Junkertown, and eventually to the man that was once Maker Rutledge, but had now completely devolved into the silent behemoth known as Roadhog. Despite initial reluctance on both sides, Roadhog having no wish to be a bodyguard, Junkrat unwilling to split his profits, they struck a deal, an equal split of everything they make in exchange for guaranteed personal protection. The duo quickly proved to be a deadly combination, the grim silence of Roadhog the perfect foil for the eccentricity of Junkrat, and they proved to be just as adept at sowing mayhem and chaos wherever they went. Whether they chose to leave Junkertown or were forced is unclear, but soon the two had left their home, the Outback and Australia behind. Junkrat proved to be just as ambitious as he was insane, and fully aware of just how effective they were as a duo, he masterminded a crime spree that took in multiple cities, countries, and continents across the globe. While the chaotic nature of their actions means it's difficult to pinpoint their movements at any given time, in the past few years the terrible twosome have carved a path of destruction worth countless millions in property damage. From the arcades of Japan to the streets of Paris, they followed a creed of no job too big, no score too small. Nobody and nothing was seemingly safe from their attentions. They were brought to the attention of the international media due to some of their biggest and boldest schemes, however. From stealing the crown jewels in the heart of King's Row, through to the daring raid on the Banco Dorado at the height of the Festival de Luz. Never ones for subtlety, every one of these raids was committed with the maximum amount of chaos and destruction possible. Whether before they left their homeland or after their worldwide crime spree is unclear, but at some point Junkrat was contacted by a businessman from Hyde Global, a megacorp involved in the construction of non-sentient defense robots, under the pretense of enlisting their unique talents to rescue a group of Hyde workers from Omnic terrorists, simultaneously leveraging their hatred for Omnics along with their passion for destruction and sweetening the deal with an upfront payment. The suit in reality saw the Junkers as useful pawns in large-scale insurance fraud. The deal was almost too perfect, even hinting at a possibility for Junkrat and Roadhog to go legit and hunt down Omnic terrorists for a living, though it's likely they were more fascinated by the idea than actually wanting to follow any laws. Insane and deranged, but by no means stupid, upon seeing the security bots, the duo, or rather Roadhog, quickly realised they'd been set up. If anything, all this did was push the two further into lawlessness, deepening their hatred for the suits that gave away their home and continue to screw them over even to this day. With law enforcement agencies anticipating them crossing into North America, and entities like A Moment in Crime promising huge rewards for any useful information on them, it is clear that the Junkers are not going to disappear anytime soon. With the world falling apart, and nobody able to yet fill the Overwatch-sized gap in global security, for Roadhog and Junkrat,
it's a perfect day for some mayhem!
Thanks for watching this episode of Lorewatch. What do you think Junkrat found in the ruins of the Omnium? Is it going to be one of the big secrets of Overwatch, or are Blizzard playing a joke on us? Will we see anything else come out of Junkertown anytime soon, and if so, what? Next time, we're looking into the history of a relic of the Omnic Crisis, the last of its kind, Bastion. If you enjoyed this vid, then please hit that like button and sub if you want to see more. You can check out our previous Lorewatch and a few of our other series right here, and until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.